This news
and a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West. That is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family, designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and hand-forged by 10 generations of the #1 craftsman on earth. The name Wolfers stands for a testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. To the show. Today with me is my dear friend and also dear friend to the community, a wonderful elected official, council member of West Covina, retired veteran with a Purple Heart, and Mr. Lioyd Johnson.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
It's a welcome.
Mr. Lioyd Johnson belongs to West Covina. We belong to West Covina. As a matter of fact, we're close to each other, about 500 yards.
About that, sure.
Good. Last time when you were on the show, doing the city update, though, yes. I heard some numbers that you mentioned with the budget, and especially we're talking about the subject of the recruitment necessary, urgency recruitment for police officers. I want to update my audiences about this situation now. Have you made up any?
Well, you know, we're always hiring here and there. We've hired another police officer probably about a month ago. Mm-hmm. And we still have more in the line that has to take tests and has to do the physicals and stuff like that. But as far as we haven't hired any more, but we need quite a few more. Jack, we only have 78 or 79 police officers on the street, patrol officers. West Covina is almost 17 square miles. And that's 7 police officers at one time. That's all we have. That's not even quite enough. We need a lot more. When I moved to West Covina many years ago, over 50 years ago, we had 128 officers.
All right.
And now we're down to about 93. So we're way low than what we need.
And went to the opposite side, right? Back 50 years ago was 128.
Yes.
And now 50 years later, instead of increasing, it dropped from 128 to 97 now.
97
now. And have you hired, you just mentioned that you hired 1 or 2 during the past month, right?
You know, we've hired 1. We got 1 more sworn in, you know, and it's a battle, you know, with the finances.
Does the 71 include the one just hired?
The 77, I think we're up to 70, I think we're up to 97.
97.
And that's with the one that was hired.
That includes the one
Yes.
that was newly hired.
Yes.
I see. In other words, you're looking for at least 30 officers.
Well, I would like to, I don't know if we'll ever get back up to there. I would love to see us get at least maybe back up to like 110 officers, which would do a lot. I mean, eventually it would be wonderful to get back up there, but it's what can you afford? You know, everything has to do with the city can afford. We have our own police officers. We have our own fire department. We're one of the biggest cities around here in the San Gabriel Valley that has our own police and fire. And that's a big part of our budget.
EDI has chosen West Covina for its home, for its headquarters. We didn't do that for no reason, because we believed, we loved it for the fact that it's a good city.
Yes, it is.
And it's a better living conditions. It's a safer city, quieter city,
Yes, it is.
And lots of features to talk about. Okay, now, forget the fact that 50 years ago, you used to have 128 officers. Probably back then you were rich. But right now with the 97, how far are you, when compared to the population though? When versus the population, you're talking about one per thousand, right?
What happened, we're up to about 100, little bit less than 120,000 now in the city of West Covina. 50 years ago, we were probably about 87,000.
Yeah, once again, the same math.
The same math.
Once again, the same math.
Same
yeah,
math.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now 120,000 in population, and for that you need 120. You need 120 police officers.
Of course, just reverse it. 50 years ago, we probably could have got away with what we have now, and we'd have been doing fine. But just reverse it now. We need the 120 some that we had back then, but we don't have now, because it takes longer to respond to a private citizen's complaints that they may have a police officer coming out there, because we don't have the police personnel to get out there if it's not a non-emergency. Emergencies will always take number one priority. We have a police officer may come out to our house, if we call them out for an issue, as they're coming out, if they have an issue that comes up that it's all officers have to respond, they're going to turn around and go that one first.
The fact that you're having a hard time making the numbers, I mean, more than 97, is that more of a budget issue?
That's exactly
or
what
is
it
it more of a manpower issue?
No, it's more of a budget issue. What can we afford? You know, we can, I would love to see us be able to hire bilaterals. In other words, get an officer from another agency that would like to come to West Covina, because we don't have to train them. All they have to do is pass the physical.
I see.
But
what
if we
you
hire them out of the academy and stuff like that, then they have to go through the training, they have to go through all the testing that they have to go through, and it may take up to a year to get them to come on board.
I see.
If we hire a bilateral, we're only talking about maybe a month to get them on.
So in other words, to hiring, you don't mind if this person is a citizen locally or from other agencies.
But they don't. Most of our police officers do not live in West Covina. Most of our fire people do not live in West Covina. They work in West Covina. And I don't care where they live. That has nothing to do with it, as far as I'm concerned. When I say a bilateral, I mean they may work for the sheriff's department, they may work for another city's police department, they want to move on someplace else. So they're looking for another job. So I'd rather get them to come to West Covina. Now they've already trained. We don't have to train them. They're already very well experienced police officers who can just go in and do the job, and they know how to do it.
Was there a reason for the sources to move out of, heading out of West Covina?
Well, you know, we've lost quite a few officers because of they can go someplace else, they can pay them better, their benefits are better. So we've lost a lot because of that.
Once again, still money issue.
Money's the issue. Money. You know, money's the bottom line. We just voted here a month ago to give the police officers a raise, which will help. We had some officers that were leaving. They decided to stay because we actually gave them a raise, you know, and we gave the fire department a raise. So we're hoping that the way we're going to pay for that is that the more police officers we can put out on the field, it's the less overtime we have to pay. The overtime is our biggest budget we have.
Yeah, you're right.
And the more police
You're paying
we have,
1.5, right?
yeah, the more police and fire we have out there, it will cut down on the overtime. And the overtime will pay for their raises that we gave them.
Yeah, you're right.
So we're hoping that we can hire more police officers. You know, if I may, you know, we have a tax that when we go on initiative, if I may real fast, in March.
Are the citizens of West Covina aware of the fact, aware of the emergency or the essential emergency for the lack of police officers?
You know, in a part, some of them do, but a lot of them they don't. And the reason why is, Jack, is if the neighborhood you're living in is a safe neighborhood, which I think our police officers do a fabulous job for the needs we have. If you live in a safe neighborhood and you don't have a lot of calls for police to come out, they don't have a clue what we need because they're not having those problems. But if they would have a problem, they find out how long it takes to get up, then they would understand the urgency of hiring more police officers on that.
But once some problem happens, too late, right? You better do something before any problem happens.
See, you're always going to have problems. no matter how safe a city you live in, there's always going to be an issue somewhere. But where you try to minimize it by as many police officers as you have. So that's what we're trying to do.
All right.
If, like I say, with the tax that's going to go on the ballot on March, that's why it's very, very important that the citizens pass it, because with that we can hire more police officers. We'll have the fund. This money will not go for raises. That isn't what it's for. They've already got the raises. It's to hire more police. It's to hire more firemen.
Yeah.
It's to make it a safer city than what it is.
And I believe on the average, it's not everybody realize that you're paying more on the overtime rather than to give them a raise or hiring more.
We're paying a lot more on overtime. That's our biggest issue, is the overtime. You can hire them more, you'll cut down on the overtime. And then that will be able to afford that. We'll pay for hiring them. So it's a roll, it's what it is. One helps the other.
All right, okay. All right, my dear brothers, sisters, my dear audiences, today with me is my dear friend, council member of West Covina, Mr. Lioyd Johnson. Lioyd Johnson has been a servant for the community ever since he retired from the military. A wonderful veteran with a purple heart. He did his part for the country and now continuing servicing, and he just finished his mayorship. And let's take a short moment out. We come back, we'll find out the firefighting department. Okay, so stay with us.
Everything is expected to change. It's like it seems on ways.
My name is Paul James. I host the English News.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow on the East West, that is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgian royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and handforged by 10 generations of the master craftsmen on the global earth. Together, the name of Wolfers stands for a testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. Back to the show. With my friend, Mr. Lioyd Johnson, council member of West Covina, we are doing this update of the beloved city, which is our headquarters of West Covina. That has about 120,000 in population, with some situation to be improved. For example, the police officer department, the PD, needs more officers, and they're working on the budget to see if there's extra room for hiring extra. And in the meantime, we're checking with the fire department.
Yes.
How is the situation with the fire department?
Well, our fire department isn't as bad as the police department. Mm-hmm. They still need more firefighters. What we have on the books where they can hire, I think, up to 6 more. But it's the same thing, going through the training and being able to get them on board. But it's the same thing with them. The biggest part of the fire department, the fire department, is their budget with the overtime too. They don't have the personnel, so you have to backfill when they need them with those that have already worked. Some of those guys are working up to 80 hours or so a week.
Oh.
And that's way too much.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of hours.
And then the extra hours are paid at 1.5.
Yes, it is. Paid at 1.5, and that's not only on the wages, it's also on their pension, on their health, everything. It's.
I remember last time you mentioned that you have 4 stations, right?
5.
5 stations.
Yes.
Okay. Altogether, 5 stations. How many firefighters you have?
66, 67.
67.
Yeah.
All right. So to compare to the problems of a police officer, PD, for the fire department, though, how is it? Is it a little better, or is it the same, or worse?
Well, the fire department's in the same situation that they are. There's been a lot of overtime on them, but the guys, they do a fantastic, like the police department, they do a fantastic job for what they have. They make it work. You know, we haven't lost a life yet because we were shorthanded. We haven't had a house burned down because we couldn't get there in time. If a house, we've had property that was lost, but it was no due that we weren't there on time. Is that maybe the house exploded with fire? I mean, it was something we called in extra. But I'm just saying, you know, our fire department does a fabulous job for the men that they have, on all of them. But do they need help? Yes, they do. We need more firefighters.
So to put it in numbers, how many more do you think you need?
Well, I think if we can get up to like 75,
Like 10
yeah,
more.
at least 10 more, I think we'll,
Like 10
we'll be
more.
a lot better than what we are. It'll take away, like I say, it will cover where we don't have to pay the overtime.
In other words, you were talking about a city that needs 30 more officers, police officers, and 10 more
10
firefighters.
10 to 15, I say that, 10 to 15 more firefighters.
10
A
to
minimum-
15
a minimum
more
of 10.
firefighters. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Good. Okay. Now we're talking about the tax, right?
Yes.
I know that a while ago it was a issue about the transparency for budget,
Yes.
and that through last discussion between you and me, I understand that the transparency is back.
Yes.
Is brought back, right, to the regular voters.
Yes.
Now, looking through the transparency versus the tax issue, are the voters more or less convinced that the city needs more money?
Well, the police department and the fire department, they gathered signatures to put it on the ballot. The signatures was just so we could put it on the ballot to vote on, right? They needed 6,300 signatures. They got over 8,000 signatures. So the message is out there. And I believe by getting over 8,000 signatures in the city of West Covina, the residents are telling, yes, we believe you. And I hope in March, you know, it's easy to talk about it, but I'm hoping in March, because remember, they don't have an argument. Those that are against
The total number needed for signatures, how many?
we needed 6,300 to put it on the ballot.
Oh, okay.
Registered voters.
Now you have 8,000 already.
We already turned them in.
Okay.
It's already going on the ballot.
I see.
The county already okayed it. All the signatures are verified. It will be on the ballot in March.
I see.
But remember, there are those people that are for it, and that those are people who are against it. So you don't have the argument for it, the tax, and there's going to be those putting an argument against
If
it.
they do vote yes to that tax, though, how much of an increase you're talking about?
Well, it will go up to like 10 and a quarter in the city of West Covina. But most of the other cities are already at that. They're already up there. They've already passed their taxes. West Covina's the only one that hasn't passed. West Covina's never had a tax before, Jack.
A tenth of a quarter?
No, 10 and a quarter. 10 and a quarter percent.
Oh, 10.25%.
Yeah. Right now it's 9 something. It's going to go up, in West Covina, it'll go like 0.75% in West Covina. It will go
10 of a quarter, that's the total tax.
That'd be the total tax in West Covina.
And the increased part, how big is that?
0.75%.
0.75%.
Right now it's 9 something. So if you go up 0.75% and make it 10 and a quarter, it's 9 and a quarter right now. So you go 0.75%.
In other words, you're talking about 3 pennies to $1.
That's all you're talking about, Jack.
Yeah, to make it simple, right?
That's all you're talking
3 pennies to $1.
That's it. That's all.
To improve a city, to prevent a city from
being a lot worse than what we are right now.
Yeah.
Now remember, we can raise anywhere from 6 to almost $11 million a year more off that tax. 'Cause remember, if we pass that tax in West Covina, it all stays in West Covina. The 9.25% that we're paying in West Covina, we get 0.1% of that. The rest of it goes to the county and the state. We get none of that 9-point-some%. West Covina gets none of it. But if we pass that 0.75%, it all stays in West Covina. Every dime stays here. So the residents that pass the tax, they can understand everybody.
After all, it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
I would the mathematics made some sense, right?
It makes
so, 3 pennies to $1, that's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
However, what it can do is to benefit the city. So, question: With the $6 to $11 million collected with the increase, though, would you handle all the problems? Hiring of the PD, hiring of the FD?
Well, we'll be able to hire. You can't do it all at one time, but over the few years you can. You can remember your tax scale again. The more businesses come in and stuff like that, then you may have more revenue with other businesses like that. So you can start out low. Eventually, we could be up to almost $14 million a year. Yes, we can hire more police officers. We know more. We can do more infrastructure. We can get the streets fixed better. We can have things that we're having a problem with taken care of. Right now, we don't have the funds for them. So everything gets back, and we have to arrange them in order what we think is the most priority. We can do this, we can do that, we can do this. But if you have the funds coming in, we can hire more. You know, we're down to a skeleton crew at City Hall. We've laid off a lot of people at City Hall. Maybe we can hire back a few more of those people too, to make the City Hall run a little bit more efficient. You know, those staff members we have right now are doing a fantastic job. But they're doing things that they never had to do before. Work in other parts of the department which they never had to work before. So it all goes hand in hand. More fire, more police, more infrastructure, more personnel at City Hall.
How big is the chance you think this time this bill pass the vote, the possibility?
You know, I really think it'll pass. If you're a gambling man, you want to put odds one way or the other, I'm saying 75-25 it'll pass. 75% it'll pass, but you never say 100% because you just don't know.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, but I'm going to say 75. I believe 75% it'll pass. If the residents understand why we need the tax, we need it to stay in what. Jack, if I may real fast on the tax, there's a chance that the state may pass a new tax. The water may pass a new tax in November of next year. If they raise it up to 10.25%, we get nothing. And we won't be able to put a tax on it all because you can't go above what the state already has. We can go equal to the state, but we can't go above the state.
But with the 3% though, you will be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, 3.75%, we'll be able to do it.
Is that 3% is an overall or just sales tax?
It's a sales tax. It's a general sales tax.
Okay.
Anybody that comes in the city of West Covina and buys something, they pay the tax.
Okay, my dear friends, today with my brother Lloyd Johnson, we try to touch base with the West Covina city, which is our home city, because we are headquarters in West Covina, and everybody is, well, I believe concerned about West Covina, how West Covina is doing. Right now in the update, we found out the city is okay, doing quite better, much better than before, and yet there are problems which are still the ones remaining, the PD officer hiring and the fire department hiring also, and of course all tied to one point about sales tax.
Yes.
Okay, now let's take a short moment out. We come back, we find out, except the sales tax, is there anything else as a revenue for the city? Please stay with us. Dear friends, lovely audiences, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on East West, which is exclusively sponsored by Wolfers, the Belgium royal family designated brand of jewelry with 400 years of glorious history and hand forged by 10 generations of the master craftsmen on the global earth. Together, the name of Wolfers stands for a testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. Back to the show. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Lloyd Johnson, council member of City of West Covina, who has just finished his mayorship. Last time, we also touched base with the other possibilities of revenue, possible revenue. And you mentioned some expectations for some business or investors to come to the city. Have you realized anything?
Not yet.
Not yet.
You know, they're still in the process of discussing it. You know, the things that sometimes if it's a big project, it takes a long time. You know, with everything that has to go through. And then, but we do have other projects that are working out. But it takes a little while for them to go. You know, we've had a few places that's opened up this past year. That's helping out with small revenues, and we all have a lot of little shops, little businesses that are opening up, and some other food places that are opening up. It's all tax money. It's all good. But we need, like I say, no matter how many businesses that come into it, Jack, remember a lot of businesses that move in, a lot of them do not create tax revenue. If you have a real estate business moving in, or if you had a different type of business that come in, they don't create tax revenue on them. So we need the big places that, you know,
Yes,
we just
of
had
course, yes.
Jerome's furniture store that just opened up here less than a month ago. That should help out. That's going to be a nice revenue for us. You know.
I recall that both you and Tony Wu mentioned about the fact that West Covina needs some 5-star, even or at least 4-star hotel.
Yes.
Are there anything moving towards that target?
Well, you know, they have some stuff in there. What I am hoping for, you know, Starwoods that owns the Plaza of West Covina. They're planning on a project to revitalize the whole mall over there. Now, we know Sears is closing. They've already announced it. It's on statewide. They're closing a lot of their stores. They're closing the store in West Covina at the mall. Over the Plaza of West Covina, Sears at the very end. Now, Sears owns that building, and they actually own that parking lot right there. What Starwoods is talking to them is that they're going to buy it from Sears.
Go ahead.
They're going to buy it from Sears, and possibly between a 4 and a 5-star hotel go right there.
Yes, exactly. To consider the location.
Right off the freeway.
Yeah.
Attached to the mall.
You
know, what I think it'd be a win-win for everybody.
With the convenience, you're between 2 freeways.
Yeah, we're between, but our main one is the 10. Yes, we are.
No, 4 freeways.
We got the 10, you got the 60, you got the 605.
605 and the 57.
And the 57, and the 10, all of them.
Yeah.
We got, but that hotel right there would be
flag,
right off the 10.
Compared to San Gabriel, you're better off.
Of course, ours would be basically on the freeway.
Yeah, exactly.
You get off and get right back on the freeway without any problems at all.
And speaking of San Gabriel, though, when San Gabriel is compared with Alhambra, at the time when I came, Alhambra was much better off than San Gabriel.
Yeah.
Now, in the reverse way, San Gabriel is much better than Alhambra.
Yeah.
Due to what? Due to all the big buildings.
The big buildings, and they have a few hotels that they have over there now.
Yes.
And
back then, there was none.
No, it makes a big
Back
difference.
then, there was none. The area, the location, the spot where St. Gabriel Hilton is now, was a little motel.
Yeah, the motel.
The motel called I can't remember the name.
But
called Sunny Cal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And with that, lots of money brought into the city. Now they have a Sheraton next to it.
Yes.
So San Gabriel is better off.
Yes, they are.
So we will bet on West Covina. One day or someday, West Covina does something like that, though.
Well, we're working on it. You know, that's one of our main goals. To have a 4 and 5 star hotel in West Covina, because that will bring people to West Covina. You can do conferences there. You know, they're going to have, if they do this, and they're talking about maybe 1,000 down at the bottom of their conference room, they'll hold at least 1,000 people in it. That's a big conference room. You can do a lot of stuff in there. You know, and I think they're going to go like 4 or 5 stories high. Possibly, maybe 6, stories high on that.
And also another benefit is that you are so close to Ontario Airport.
Yes. Real close.
15 minutes drive?
15, 20 minutes drive to Ontario.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You jump right on the freeway, right on the 10 freeway there, within 15, 20 minutes, you're there.
Looking west, though, you're
Looking
talking
west.
about, if you say San Gabriel, they have to go the west because they are more towards west.
It's more towards LA.
Now, with West Covina, you were talking about
closer.
15 minutes.
Yeah, we're talking 15, 20 minutes on the outside.
Yeah, and of course, less waiting time.
Yeah, rest waiting
Right?
time.
Less simpler procedure.
Yeah.
Last time I was talking to Kurt Hagman, who is a member of the board of the airport also. And he says he tried himself from outside coming in, going through the customs, altogether 12 minutes. It took him 12 minutes.
Yeah, Ontario is a wonderful airport. I was there in Ontario when the city of LA gave it back to Ontario. They signed it over to them.
All right.
At that time.
Lots of things are kind of tied together. They all point at the one that with the revenue income increase, either by tax increase or by investment. By investment, I mean 4 or 5-star hotels.
Yes.
Until then, it doesn't look anything else as promising as the plan is, right?
Now, our best plan at this moment is having a tax pass to keep the city moving in the right direction. Is that the magic wand? No. It will keep the city functioning. We'll be able to hire more police, more fire. It gives us the services we need now. But to move forward, yes, we have to have more investments. A 5-star hotel, yeah, with the bed tax on that would help out. That'd be a few $1 million a year more there. If I'm just saying, so.
Of course, you mentioned about marijuana. Could that be another revenue? I know that was approved a year ago, right? So there's nothing moving forward.
Nothing has moved forward
from the point of the year before.
It's never came back from the Planning Commission. We sent it back to the Planning Commission to set the guide rules. But remember, between then and now, we've had a change in council. The council back there, if we could have got it moving back there, you had the council to vote to move it forward. I don't know if you have the votes now or not. I'm still for it, okay? But I think out of the 5 council members, I don't think the other 4 would vote for it. So I think right now that may be a dead issue. Because I can't see this council
Maybe
vote
a
for
dead
it.
issue?
I don't think they'll vote for it.
Because of the obstacles?
I just don't think they want it.
Oh.
They don't want to say we're allowed to have medical marijuana being grown in the city of West Covina. Which, Jack, the only place it can grow is an industrial area. That's in this area that we live in.
Yeah.
That's the only area.
Industrial area, and also you're talking about sealed operation.
You're talking about completely indoors.
Yeah.
Completely sealed, where they have to have their own security on it. And to me, it's just a win-win, because if you had a place to say they had a 50,000 square foot building that they want to grow marijuana in, inside, okay? The city, we wouldn't charge them for how much they're growing. We would charge them per square footage. And if you charged them
Yeah, you're right.
you charge them $1 per square foot, that's $50,000 a month right there. Charge them $2 a square foot, that's $100-some thousand. And so on and so on.
In other words, the tax charge is not a per sales.
No,
So
per square footage.
it's unrelated with the sales.
I could care how much they make.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter
It
to
has
me.
no motivation to push sales.
No, I could care
Only
less.
by the yardage square yardage.
I could care less if they sold $1 million a month. And if I'm charging them, say, $2 or $3 a square foot, I'm making between $100,000 and $150,000, $200,000 a month for them being there.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of money.
Yes, it is.
Right? Why the citizens, the voters, will make it a dead issue?
I don't think the citizens will. It's your city council. We're the ones that vote on it. Citizens don't vote on it. It's the council that has to pass it.
So no action, no further action.
Has been taken so far, because we had it, we sent it back, we okayed it, so we sent it back to the planning commission to get the rules and boundaries that the way if an owner wants to do it, the way they can do it, and it's never came back to the council yet.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's a lot of efforts.
Yeah, it is. I believe, like they say, to me, that's just free money. It is. It's free money, Jack. It's nothing that we have to invest in. It's nothing that we have to control on it. We don't have to worry about how many sales they make. We just charge them per square footage. It could be up to $200,000 a month.
All right, all right. Anyway, with the hotel possibility, with sales tax possibility, and also with the issue of marijuana, well, I believe the city of West Covina will finally work a way out in between or amongst all the three options to get some more revenue to improve the city.
Yes, that's what we're looking for, Jack.
All right, very good. Well, to be honest with you, I feel that it is no easy job to do to be on the seat as a council member.
Sometimes it's tough.
All right, let's take a moment out. We will come back for it right away. Hello, dear friends, lovely audience, and welcome back to the show. Jack Shaw with the East West Show that is sponsored exclusively by Wolfers. Wolfers, the Belgian royal family, designated a brand of jewelry with 400 years of history, and Wolfers, hand-forged by 10 generations of wonderful craftsmen on global earth. I'd say the number one wonderful craftsman on the global earth, and Wolfers, the name that stands for spectacular to the, testimony to the spectacular and the share of the royal glory. Back to the show. With me today, Council Member Lioyd Johnson of West Covina, a wonderful servant for a lifetime long, and he many years ago served his country, coming back with a Purple Heart, and since then never stopped servicing this community. Ever elected on the city council member's seat, he's been working very hard, and I, the media man, may act as a testimony about how hard you work, right? Okay. Now, with all the issues, everything, there's one last issue I'm going to check with you. Christmas is coming.
Yes.
Right? When Christmas is coming, the weather is getting cold, right? When the weather gets cold, there goes the rain. With the Christmas to celebrate, with the rain, with the cold, do you have any folks in West Covina who are homeless?
We have quite a few homeless, Jack.
You do?
Yes, and what happened, but they have shelters. between West Covina, the cities around us, they all rotate. Like this place may be open for a couple of weeks, then this place will be open for a couple of weeks, this place will be open for a couple of weeks, this place, so the homeless have places to go when it's cold and it's rainy and stuff like that. They have places if they want to. We offer it to them, but it's up to them to accept it.
So, in other words, they are kind of like moving around.
Yeah, there's churches and there's all different type of places.
On the average, though, as a city, how many of them West Covina has?
We have probably, I would say our last count's over 300 and some homeless in West Covina.
300?
Over 300.
3 to 5?
Not quite 5. I would say 3 to 350.
3 to 350.
Yeah.
But 300 is still a big number.
That is a very huge number. A
Yeah.
few years ago, we only had less than 100.
Yeah, 300 versus your population.
Yes.
You're talking about 4%.
That's a big number, Jack.
Yeah, you're talking about 4%, right?
a big
That's a
number.
big number already.
Yes, it is.
So, has the city council taken any resolution, or has the city of West Covina as a city, or have the voters of West Covina as a citizen done anything with that consideration?
A lot of our hands are tied. The government has tied the hands of the city. Your homeless really have more rights sometimes than your regular citizens do on it. Before, years ago, we used to have an ordinance where you can't sleep in the parks after 10 o'clock. Well, the courts have mandated they can sleep in the parks all night long. The only way you can make a move, if you have a place for them to go in your city. If you don't have a place for them to go in your city, you can't make a move out of the park. Now remember, a lot of homeless are mentally problem. A lot of them are criminals. You get a lot of them that they released from jail, early releases.
Yeah, early release, yeah.
And they're homeless.
Property 47
Yes.
subject.
And they're homeless. They don't have places because they're on the streets. And they get shipped out. We've had that. Some time back, I won't mention what city it did, but they shipped some of the homeless here.
I understand where you're from. But to my knowledge, no matter who they are, no matter what they have done so far, but they are certain human beings.
Yes, they are.
Right? And they are in trouble.
You treat them with
versus
respect.
the weather, versus the rain and everything. They are out there, right? So we have to do something.
Yeah, like I said, we do have shelters that go from one spot to the other. As a city, we don't have the money or the finances to finance a homeless shelter. We don't have it. Some they do in Pomona, they do in Pasadena. The bigger cities, they've actually built homeless places for them that they can stay there for so long.
After all, you're talking about the 3 cities: West Covina, La Ponte, El Monte, those areas.
Yeah, in Baldwin Park and Covina.
Baldwin Park, that area,
Yeah,
right?
they
In
can
the
go from
vicinity,
yes.
right? So, as far as you know, has any city on the parallel, on an average basis, done anything, or have the cities sit together to think about it?
This is something I've been trying to do for quite a while. Get the city. One city can't do it by themselves.
Yeah,
Because,
I know. And then the collaboration.
Because homeless, they go from city to city. So at one time, you just don't know what city they're in.
Yeah.
They don't know where the border lines are. So you may count them in your city as homeless, and later they'll be in another city. You count them as homeless there too, because they don't know. But it's one of those things that until we decide we have to do this, Major H isn't working right now. I'm sorry, it's just not working. We're not getting the funding that we need for Major H. That's where we voted for that tax to help fund the homeless for the cities. And we're paying more into it than we're getting back. And then that's a shame because we can't help the homeless. If we had all the money that we should have for homeless, we could do a lot more with them. But if I may, Jack, real fast, we're talking about homeless. My wife was at Stater Brothers day before yesterday. She comes out, there's a homeless man sitting down there in the rain. Maybe it was last year, it was homeless. She was sitting down out of the rain. And she looks at him. She calls me and says, there's this homeless man there. What can I do? Is it okay if I go back in and buy him something to eat? I said, don't give him money. That's the worst thing you can do. She went in there and she bought him a chicken that's already cooked, a whole chicken and a loaf of bread, and brought it out and gave it to him. She fed him. And my wife did that, and I'm very, very proud of her.
Very good of her.
You know,
Very,
it's
very,
her
very
heart.
kind
So
of her. Yeah.
we have our hearts go out to the
Very
homeless.
kind of her. Very kind of her.
Every resident, their heart goes out for the
All right,
resident
okay.
problem.
Many years ago, when I first came, I used to work in a motel on Valley Boulevard, right? It was that period I learned to understand them,
Yes.
right? I recall back then, a room sells for $28 on a regular day and $32 on weekends,
Yes.
right? So those homeless people, they pay on day-to-day base.
Yes.
They pay on day-to-day base to get the $28 dollars per room. My question was that you pay 28 on a day-to-day base. Why don't you put the money together, do it a monthly, or even rent an apartment, right? 28 per day. So you're talking about back then. You're talking about almost $800 per month, right? For $800 per month, you can rent yourself a beautiful an apartment.
But understand, during the summertime and stuff like that, they won't rent those apartments. They won't rent those.
It was then at that time when I was working in the motel, it was not until then did I learn the math.
Yeah.
They never had this money together.
No.
Mathematically, you can put them together to make $800, but in practically, they never had a chance to put the $800 together.
Because, which you know, in the motel, you can't buy by the month of the motel. You know, so maybe it's a day-by-day thing to them. You may have one person coming in today for pay the $28. I mean, you may not see them for another week. But I'm saying then they'll come back and they'll spend another night there.
Yeah.
On their good nights when it's nice outside, they're not going to spend their money on a room when they can sleep outside under the stars or whatever it is. You know, they don't have to pay for a room. But then there's other times where they save the money up where they can do it again on it.
Yeah. So everybody has a story. Everybody's
Yes,
story is
everybody
different.
has a story.
Right? Nobody chose voluntarily to be homeless.
Homeless is not a crime.
It's not a crime.
No, it's not.
All right. That's the conclusion. Homeless is not a crime.
No, it's not.
You got to understand them, give them a generous mind, extend them a helping hand. I'm mostly worried with the weather, with the temperature.
We all are. I am too.
And with the rain, everybody.
I am too.
And I believe that lots of human beings act like your wife.
You know,
Right.
So every homeless has a heart. Every homeless
Yes.
has, and every
Right.
I believe 90% of your homeless don't want to be homeless. There is that 10, or maybe
Exactly. You're right.
50%.
You're right.
They
You're
want to
right.
be lost.
You're right.
Jack.
You're right. You're
Jack.
right.
They don't want to. They want to be there. But there's that percentage.
I'm very thankful to the period that I worked for the little motel, and it taught me a lot.
Yeah, you get the
to
insight.
understand the
Sure.
poor, to understand the less fortunate.
Yes.
All right. Okay, my dear friends, Christmas is coming, and let's celebrate Christmas ours. In the meantime, let's do something meaningful. Let's change our life one at a time. How about that? Or one per night at a time. Something like that.
One kind act at a time.
Yeah, very good. Hey, thank you very much, brother. You know I like you.
Yeah, well,
I like you. And the more we talk in that area, the more I like you, John.
Anytime, you know
Very
that,
much. All
anytime.
right. Okay, my dear friend, we're over time, and we're happy. We did make some calls, positive, necessary, and at the very minute. So we thank you for watching, and to Lloyd, thank you very much for sharing.
You're very welcome, my friend.